Hello loves and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be answering a question that someone left in my comments. But before we get started, just wanted to remind y'all, don't forget to sign up for the Healing the Ancestors workshop series. The first being on healing the matriarch, which is all about healing the matriarchal line. This is a part one of a multi-ancestral workshop series that we're going to be embarking on, which I'm really excited about. If you want to get more information, the link will be down below for tickets. And if you're a Patreon member, High Priest, High Priestess level, you guys know already that your ticket is already included. But it does not include the workbook. The workbook specifically is going to be about healing the ancestors, which I'm also really excited about. And yeah, it's coming up in the next couple of weeks, so definitely make sure you get your ticket. If you cannot make it on that day for any reason, no worries. My workshops are always available for replay with the link, so you will be emailed a link unless you go on Patreon. It will be posted within the Patreon tab, and so you will be emailed a link, and you can always access all the workshop through that link. And if you're a Patreon member, High Priest, High Priestess level, you actually get access to all my past workshops too, which is one of the perks of being a Patreon member. So definitely make sure you check that out in the link below. And also don't forget that I'm having a little special right now. You can get 20% off with the code OkaniLuna on all of my services right now. Patreon members get an additional, they get a 25% off. So definitely make sure you use that code if you're a Patreon member. Take advantage of that. But it ends on the 16th, so definitely make sure you use it. Now, with that being said, we are going to be talking about something that I think is really important. So David Pabon left this comment, so I'm going to read the comment in its entirety, and then we're going to dive in and talk about it. So it says, I'm very apprehensive about joining a yukayeke, especially because of all the differences. It just feels strange, especially because it seems seems everyone has his own version of the language. And could you help me understand what exactly happens in a yukayeke? What does it actually mean? And can't I reconnect on my own? So we're going to be covering a lot of different questions today. So we're going to start off from the beginning. When it comes to what are the differences between the yukayekes. So there are quite a lot of yukayekes in every single island and the diaspora. So that's number one. You should keep that in mind. This is a good thing. I don't want you to see that there being multiple yukayekes as a bad thing. This is actually a great thing. And the reason why I say it's a great thing is because there are some yukayekes that are specific to some islands only. There are some yukayekes that are specific to regions of different islands only. There are some yukayekes that do not do the diaspora. They're only in their islands respectively. So there's yukayekes in Jamaica, there's yukayekes in Cuba, there's yukayekes in Quisqueya, there's yukayekes again in different islands, right? So having a lot of yukayekes is a really good thing, and I don't want you to see it as a bad thing, because there are some yukayekes, I know quite a bit of them, especially in Puerto Rico and Borinquen, that are specific to you have to be a Boricua, you have to be a Boricua to qualify it to be a part of that tribe. And so there are like peculiarities, like particularities of different tribes, and that is important. The importance of diversity, the importance of uplifting the community that you live around. When it comes to yukayekes themselves, yukayeke is essentially your tribe. And the importance of your tribe is something that is absolutely essential to our survival as Taínos. And I say this because one of the things that my Mexica says often is when it comes to, you know, who is Taíno, who is not, is okay, but who claims you? Who is your people, right? Now, if you were to look at that question in a context outside of a tribe, you would be looking at nationalities, right? So I'm Dominican, for example. So who would claim me? DR would claim me. My peoples in the Dominican Republic would claim me, right? Because I was born there. I have family there. Like it would just be like, oh, that's your community, that's your people, that's where you come from. Ancestrally, that's your roots, right? And so because of that, that's who would claim me in outside of a tribe concept. Now, when it comes to being an indigenous person, and practicing indigenous practices, your tribe is your community. And so it is important to be one and be partaking within your community. If you are like, one of the things about colonization that it did is that it completely separated us from our community. Even in the islands, we became countries, right? But we were not in tribes. We were not partaking in specific things. We were obviously there's things that are done regionally and stuff, but for the most part, we were all banded together under a flag, right? And so that became your new community, your new identity became your nationality, right? And so this is why ethnically around the world, people identify with their nationality, because their nationality tells you your culture, your food, your language. It tells you everything that you need to know about that person just by knowing what nationality they are. It gives you the most information when it comes to identifying someone when you know where somebody is from, where they were born in. It tells you exactly a good foundation, a good viewpoint of, who they are, where they come from, what they could be down for and stuff like that. It gives you a good sense of information. And so, like, for example, like if I know I'm going to be hanging out with like Peruvians, for example, there might be a really good amount of seafood, because seafood is something that is very much consumed. I might be having a specific dishes that are cooked in a particular way, or I might be having like chicha morada or something like that. Like, there's certain things that would be associated to the country and the peoples that are partaking in that nationality, in that ethnicity, in that culture, that would be what you would claim, right? This is why, when it comes to the pride, especially in the Caribbean, I feel like within Latin America, I would say, there's a lot of pride within repping your nationality. So generally, we would be identifying by nationalities, right? Ethnicities, culture, right? Now, when it comes to being in a tribe, what ended up happening a long time within colonization is that through colonization, the colonizers pretty much swapped out, your tribal association, your tribal community, for a more patriotic nationalist mentality and community. So your people tend to be people who are part of your nationality, which is why you have Jamaicans, Cubans, Colombians, Peruvians, instead of the tribal names, like the peoples of those tribes. It's not like Quechua, it's not Nahuatl, it's not, Taíno. It would be, oh, you're either Puerto Rican or you're this or you're that. It's like, it all got kind of watered down a little bit, and it created a kind of separation, whereas peoples, we couldn't come together and practice our indigenous practice as a tribe, right? And so the importance of yukayekes it's not only coming back home and coming back to your family and your people, but also having that support system. That is your peoples. That is who you identify as. That is who claims you. That is who you can support on. That is who you can come to. It would literally be seen as like a family. So when it comes to my Yukayeke, for example, we help each other. We we're there for each other. If there's an event, if there's a powwow, if there's an areito going on somewhere and we're all in the area or whatnot, we can show up and do carpools and stuff like that, and we'll spend time together and be a tribe together. We will be partaking in rituals together. We'll be in community together. It is a community. Your tribe is your community. Your Yukayeke, being a part of your Yukayeke, is you being part of your community. And because one of the biggest reasons why Yukayekes are important too is because of elders. It is super, super, super important to learn from elders, especially because oral tradition is indigenously, the way that things are passed down traditionally by indigenous people, is not that we didn't, obviously within Taínos, I know like the most popular and famous as far as indigenous people goes, as far as writing system goes, is like, Kemet, and basically with hieroglyphs. In the islands, we have petroglyphs, which is like just the way that it's called. But we have petroglyphs, so we do have different ways that our ancestors designed and described certain things. But it's important to learn from elders and be in community, because there's a lot of different teachings that will only get passed down if you are in a yukayeke. There's only so much that being a solo Taíno will get you through. When you're reconnecting, your goal is to be in a yukayeke at one point. If you just want to connect, but only to the point where you're just on your own, you're not a part of the community. You're not partaking in your community. You are not in ritual with your community. You're not in ceremony with your community. You're not practicing and you're not partaking in that. Think about it in the kind of way where it's like, if you think about it in an American kind of way, within what happens within the tribes, granted, there's a lot of blood quantum issues within North American tribes, which is a huge thing. But when it comes to the North American tribes, you can be, have the DNA and the ancestry of, like, let's say they're Cree or like from one of the tribes, one of the northern tribes. You can have the ancestry and not be in connection to your community, not partake or be a part of your culture. So you basically would be assimilated into modern day society. So you're not really partaking in community with your tribe. Or you could be partaking in a community with your tribe, which is important for us as indigenous people to have that support system to support each other. There's a lot of power in numbers. If we're all like separated and just like in our own little corner somewhere, we're going to be struggling within our journey, within connecting ancestrally, because we need elders. And when you have a yukayeke, you have your behike, you have your cacique, you have the grandmother council, you have different layers of elders that teach different things. And it's very, very important to connect and listen and learn from elders within that oral tradition, because oral tradition is the way that things are supposed to be taught traditionally. Okay. So it's important to learn from elders, and elders generally, if you're not in a yukayeke, you're not going to be able to have access to some of the information, most of the information that you also need to know, especially because a lot, educationally, a lot of these books that are written about our ancestors are written by white people who have not only outdated information in their research, but also ended up quoting and citing each other in multiple books throughout time. And it's not until recently where they literally started to reach out to tribes, like literally modern day. It's been like over 500 years. And now they decided, like the academia decided to start reaching out to the people, to talking to like the community, people in the campo and all that stuff, to actually try to learn. Because especially after the whole DNA thing came out, that it's like, oh, the DNA is still up here. That's when everything's like, oh wait, I guess there's still Taínos around. It was like this whole myth of our extinction, just it's like a running joke for some reason. And now they're starting to take working with the tribes a little bit more seriously, which is great. But it's been really, really infuriating throughout time, especially reading a lot of the books. You can read so much and do so much, and then at the end of the day, there's only so much you will get through without communicating or being part of a yukayeke. What are all the differences when it comes to the yukayekes? So different yukayekes have different language systems, and that makes absolutely like the most perfect sense. And I will tell you why. Because different tribes, even when you look at the Arawakan kind of branch library of languages, we don't all speak in the same kind of, not all of the words are going to be the same or spelled or even like pronounced maybe slightly different, but they're still part of the Arawakan language Okay. And so it's important to not necessarily look at it as, oh, this tribe has this language, that tribe has that language. There are different reasons why that is. My tribe specifically did a whole focus on language reconstruction when it came to Hiwatahia, which is our language within my tribe specifically. But I know that some of the other tribes have their own language system as well. And that is totally okay. Think of it as having regionally different words that are used, or different tones and different ways that things are pronounced within different regions of the islands, which literally happens. It's just that we have different languages, and that's totally 1000% fine. There's literally nothing wrong with that, and you don't have to learn all of the other languages either. At the end of the day, even if you're like, okay, like I'm Taíno, I'm part of my tribe, right? Someone who I am friends with and I'm cool with, people who are Taíno and are in other tribes, and that's still fine. We're still cousins, we're still family, we're just in different tribes, and that is okay. We can still talk and we can still communicate, but we're just in different tribes, and we are practicing under our elders. And so if their elders are saying, hey, this is the way we're going to learn our language, this is what we're doing, blah, 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 that's what they're doing. And we'll do our thing, our way, within the guidance of our elders. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of different language dialects within the North American tribes who are actively they can be similar words or similar pronunciations or a variation of. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, because it's just part of the language systems. I don't think you should feel overwhelmed. If anything, what I would say, like looking for or finding your Yukayeke, finding your tribe, it's almost like shopping or trying to find the right thing for you. And at the end of the day, you should want your tribe to feel like it is the right thing for you. And it is the right community for you. And this is why there's a lot of different tribes that within the enrollment period, you get to kind of like try out and like be a part of the community, see how it navigates, see how everybody interacts, have, you know, be able to talk and interact and all that kind of stuff. And see how you like it, see how you're feeling about the way this community is, the way this family is. And so, it's not about like really getting overwhelming. It's about really finding what feels right for you, finding the community that feels right for you. Because at the end of the day, if you are not in a Yukayeke, you have not fully reconnected yet. And we're all generally all reconnecting Taínos, right? But if you only stop at the books, if that's the furthest your education is going to go, you're going to miss out on a lot of other information that's literally only taught by elders, only taught if you are enrolled. And it's just, you're basically only going to get the version of the truth that white people wrote into books about our people. You know, could you help me understand what exactly happens to the Yukayeke? So we kind of covered that. So there's a lot of focus on community. There definitely, we will meet up powwows. They're at Eitos, so there's times where we go into ceremony. There's times that we have different circles and groups and things for different things. We have different support groups for different people as well. So we have like a two-spirit like circle, for example. In my specific tribe, we also have a women's circle that happens once a month. We have different like meetups. We read books together. We watch movies together. We like do a lot. Like you can literally do so much just with your people, but within your Yukayeke, you are interacting with your Yukayeke. So I want you to envision, and I really always like to kind of push visualization. If you had a time machine back in time, what do you think our ancestors were doing? First of all, they were swimming a lot. That was documented by like he who shall not be named. That was documented. Our ancestors would spend a lot of time in the rivers, at the beach, just literally like enjoying the sun. They would play games. They would play the game bate or batu, depending on which region you're, you know, working with, which is like a ball game that's played with a rubber ball. They would hold ceremonies. They love to party. They love to party. Areitos are not just ceremonies of, like, you know, spiritual seriousness, like being in a spiritual ceremony. They would also throw parties. Our ancestors like love to have a good time, and honestly the legacy of that is literally still seen in the island, because every single island still likes to have a good time. Like the people's just trying to have a good time, trying to be relaxed, eating good food, farming, like really working through. And then there's the spirituality part of it, of course, but there's a lot of that goes into the yukayeke. You have different layers of how to, not only things that are being studied, also things that are being taught, ceremonies that you'll partake in, so many different things. At the end of the day, you want to make sure you feel comfortable with your community and that you are, you know, in unity with your community. But yeah, I hope that it makes sense. I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching this video and hearing me rant a little bit. But I hope that this helps you understand in your journey of reconnecting. And yeah, I wish you the best. I love you guys so much. Have a very blessed day. Bye.